All right. And good day, everyone, and welcome to today's session of Truly Foundation and A Course in Miracles with your host and your temporary guide, your temporary teacher. I can say your temporary coach, but I am permanently what you are. I am permanently at one with you. I am permanently a part of the one life that we all share. And just want to welcome everyone to today's lesson as we come three lessons short of our goal. And after today, we will only have two lessons left. And I'm feeling a certain kind of way because I have been on this project for, I would say, the last 22 months. We started back on January the 9th with the goal of completing all 365 lessons out of the workbook session of A Course in Miracles. And heaven knows, when I started this journey, it was definitely an act of faith on my part because I had no idea where this was going. But I am so happy and grateful that I took that step of faith. And out of that small step of faith, there's been a tremendous amount of growth on my part. There's been a tremendous amount of expansion on my part in terms of connecting with people that I don't even know, wasn't even aware of. And out of this has come so much help to those that have given themselves over to these lessons. And I think the greater outcome here is that we have over 400, it could be even 500. We have over 400 recorded commentaries on the workbook lessons out of A Course in Miracles that are here and inform and can be used by anyone that it resonates with. And one can be directed to Truly Foundation platform, whether it be our YouTube channel or whether it be our Facebook page. These recordings are now available to all of those who so desire to enter into a commitment of being transformed by the renewing of the mind. You know, we said from the very beginning that this is a journey of mind training. Even the Course says this is a journey of correction. The Course is about a shift in perception. It's about making a correction in our thinking, which is so vital to our peace. As we said that the goal is peace. It is the one common interest that we all have. It is the one universal desire of all humanity. To be at peace, to be at rest, as the scripture says. You know, because my spiritual journey began in Christianity, and I thank God for that. And I thank God that I didn't just stop there. We can get stuck in our beginnings and think that this is all there is, and think that that our means becomes the end. Where there are so many paths, but all paths leaves home. There are, like the course says, there are so many courses. There are so many uh, ways that the universal mind has laid out for us to wake up to the reality of who we are. And so this is just my unique way, my unique expression. I have come to understand that all of us, every single solitary one of us, is but an individuated expression of the one universal. That we're all a unique expression of the one love, the one law of love, of the one reality. That we're just a unique expression of the same kind and of the same quality. I like the scripture that says that in him we live and move and have our being. Make sure that I'm where I should be. Bear with me for a second. Want to make sure. Okay, there I am. All right. Want to make sure that we actually recording here. But the scripture says it this way. It says that we live and we move and we have our being, we have our existence in the one source. And we call that one source by many names. The universal name that humanity uses is God. I like to call it love. I like to call it reality. But it doesn't matter what we call it. What matters is what is, and God is. And there is nothing else. Reality is, love is, and there is nothing else. In science they call it energy, the one energy. and philosophy or psychology, it's referred to as the one love. In religion, we call it God. And then we give names to our religions. We give names to our gods. But all of that is our doing. What transcends all of that human intellect that we give over to that, to our desire to know ourselves, to our desire to know one another, to our desire to understand life itself, to our desire to be at peace, to our desire to be able to be comfortable with ourselves and to express ourselves fully. We give all kinds of connotations and names, ideas, thoughts. We create entire systems, entire religions around trying to be comfortable with the infinite in our finite experience. But in reality, the only thing that really matters is what is. And what I have come to understand, and what the Course and what most religious paths teach us, is there is but the one source. There is but the one life. There is but the one breath that we all share. There's but the one energy that is breathing all of us, the breath of life. And within that breath of life that we live and move and have our being in, there is all power. There in that life, in that breath that we all breathe, is all the power that there is all the intelligence that there is, and it's infinite. It's called omniscience, meaning all knowing. And notice in that word omniscience is the word science, all science. Because sometimes as religious minded church brain people, we reject science. And science is just as much as a part of reality. It's just as much as a part of God. It's just as much as a part of life. As the art of life is. So life to me is art and science. The art is the knowing, the knowing of the self, the knowing of our creator and of each other, and the ability to create. And the science is the mechanism, or it is the operation of how it actually occurs. And we can know that. We can actually know how things work. We can actually know the mind of God. In fact, scripture says that we have the mind of Christ. We can know all of the so-called secrets to life. We can get an insight into all of that. We can be inspired or in spirit, meaning we can have an exact awareness, an exact knowledge about this life that we share, about this love that is at the root of this life that we share. In fact, scripture says that grace and peace is multiplied unto us through the knowledge or through the knowing. That means that we can know. The Bible talks about revelation knowledge that comes directly from the universal mind. It comes directly from God. It doesn't get filtered through our human experience. Because you know that anything gets filtered through the human experience, by the time it gets to our understanding, it is very distorted, or it is very erroneous, or it sometimes even gets over into falsehood or just downright insanity. How we can distort the truth. But when there's a direct revelation, I like direct. I don't like anything that is watered down. I like live food. I prefer live food. When food is put in a box or in a can or in a jug, that means that it has gone through some type of process. That means that we're not getting the raw substance, but we're getting some degree of that substance. When the human mind thinks, when we think, and our thoughts have been watered down or filtered through our experience, or when our thoughts have been filtered through history, when our thoughts have been uh, somewhat uh, influenced by culture, when our thoughts are not the pure thoughts or the direct thoughts or the revelations that come directly from the universal mind. What is the universal mind? It represents all that is true, all that is light. It represents, the universal mind represents uh, the exactness of life, the purity of life, the absolute truth of life, the reality of life. And we all live and move and have our being in that. And we all have access to a direct experience. We all have access to this all-knowing, this all-present and all-power that not only has created us, but that which sustains all of us. It's a matter of, do we want it straight? Or do we want a mix portion? Like in the world of social drinking, some people like their drinks straight, right? They don't want it mixed with, other, what they call chasers. They want it straight. And then some like theirs, like mixed with all kinds of different ingredients, so that once you get to the final product, what you're tasting is a combination of other things and other influences, and it's not really straight. It's kind of all mixed up. And you notice, and I know from my own experience, when that happens, there's a side effect to that. A lot of times there's a side effect because of all of the different elements that have been added to the raw material. And such it is in our life. We are always deciding whether or not we want to accept life as at its face value. We are always deciding, do we want to be who we are based on the creation? We're always deciding, do we want to be something else? Do we want to try to substitute our reality for something else? And so that is the journey that we experience in life. And we get to make those decisions. We get to make the decision whether we accept this principle, this universal truth, whether we get to accept and embrace our true identity, or that whether or not we play the game of hide and seek. And so the scriptures does say that we live and that we move and that we have our beingness in this universal mind. This one source, this one law, this law of love, that is really what's governing everything. As much as we will to do what we think we're big and bad enough to do, there is still the law of this universe, the law of love, the law of God, the law of Christ, that is determining the outcomes. And we know that this law operates under the principle of every seed produces after its own kind. That everything produces after its own kind. And the seed represents our thinking. The seed represents our thoughts. It represents our ideas. And when our thoughts and our ideas are not in alignment with the law of love, with the law of truth, when our thoughts and our ideas are not constructive, meaning that it adds to the whole of life, that it adds to the expression of love, that the same law that is producing all the good in the world is the same law or the same mechanism of thought that has introduced all the evil in the world. Why? Because it is a law, and the law cannot be broken. Every seed produces after its own kind. Therefore, we all have always experienced the fruit of our seed or the fruit of our thoughts. Even to the point that who we think we are and what we decide to do is a reflection of what we think. And that's why all of the great wisdom books of the world, that's why all of the great religions of the world employ us to come in silence. Even the Course of Miracles says, come with empty holy hands into our God, or into the law, the law of love. Come into the reality and let us reason together. Let us come to an understanding. In Proverbs, it says, in all thy getting, get understanding. Why? Because it is our understanding that is determining our experience. And as sad as it has been throughout history, where humanity has experienced so much pain and suffering, so much insanity in terms of what we have done to ourselves and what we have done to others. The only correction to that is the truth. That is true always. The only correction to that is coming to know the real you, which is love. The only correction to that is acknowledging and coming into harmony and alignment with the law of love, coming into alignment with what is the I am that you are, so that we embrace this one, or this oneness that we share, this one life that we all are a part of, so that we can correct our thinking, so that we can renew the mind and be transformed from evil unto good, so that we can have the outcomes and results that is a reflection of the love that we share. So that your individual life, your individual self, can return to its own natural habitat, which is love. Your own natural habitat, which is the abundant life. Your own natural habitat, which is creativity. Your own natural state of being, which is one with the universal being, which is God, which is love, which is reality, whatever you want to call it. This is getting real with ourselves. This is finally laying down our weapons. Finally becoming real with ourselves. Coming to recognize who we are and embracing who we are. and then becoming the expression of who we are based on our creation, which is the of the same quality and of the same substance and of the same essence that God is, that there is no difference between creator and creation. It is all one and the same. It all is sustained. It all lives. It all moves. And it all has its being by the one source, by the one self. And we need that understanding, because it is through that understanding that correction comes to the world. It is through that understanding that correction comes to every facet of life. It is through that understanding that the peace that we all desire becomes our direct experience. And the good news is what? It is everywhere present. This is not off. It's not somewhere off. The peace that we desire is everywhere present. It is always present. It is always available. We just have to desire it. We just have to want it more than we want anything else. Is to know the truth. And that is so true. More than anything else. When I was in my early adulthood, in my early 20s, I wanted to know the truth. Because when I looked out into the world, all I saw was chaos and confusion. And I knew that there was more than that, more than chaos and confusion to life. I knew it. We all know it. We all have this inner sense. We all have this presence within us that is beckoning us to return to the truth, to come back to center, to find the North Star. And it's within all of us. It's called consciousness. It is within our conscious. And also within our conscious is every solution to every seeming problem that we have encountered. Every physical, every psychological, every medical, every financial, every relational, every business, every art, every facet of life. We already have the answers, and the answers are within consciousness. It's in where we live, where we move, and where we have our being, in this one consciousness, in this one universal, this one unity of spirit, this one unity of power and knowing and presence. It is already here. It is like the Bible says, it is as close to you as your very breath. It's in consciousness. It is in consciousness that it's breathing all of us. It is the consciousness, or this pure consciousness of being, that is causing the blood to flow through your body, through your veins. It is through this consciousness that all of the vital organs of your body function. It is through consciousness that everything that has ever been brought from the invisible to the visible, everything that is in form, it unfolded. It emerged from this one consciousness that we all share. Everything is in consciousness. Every single solitary thing. I don't know where I'm going with this morning, but I'm going. I'm going because this is for someone who's looking for some clarity in their life. I know how that feels. And on this third lesson from the end of this long journey that we've been on, I want to be as clear. I want to be as purposeful. I want to be as intentional about these final lessons that the Course talks about here. We are in the final lesson. Today, 363. If I haven't mentioned it, I haven't gotten there yet. Every answer that you could ever desire is in consciousness. It's in your consciousness. That's why Jesus said, physician, heal yourself. Why? Because we have the capacity to do it. In other words, true correction comes from within. It doesn't come from without. In fact, everything comes from within. And it is our recognition of this inner world, this inner consciousness, which is our true identity. That is the path of peace that we're all looking for. And so today, there is a rest. It is this awareness that brings us to a place of rest. It brings us to a place of peace. It brings us to a place where we understand that our life has deep meaning and good purpose. And not only our life, but every other life. Every other life has deep meaning and good purpose. And if there is to be a demonstration of that in the world, in our relationships, in our homes, in our communities, in our culture, in our nation, and among all people, if there's to be a demonstration of that, it first must come through a recognition. It first must come through a recognition. Like the Course says, enlightenment is but a recognition. It's an awareness. It's not a religion. It's not a political party. It's not any of the labels that we have created or made in form. It's not economics. It's not how much you possess or don't possess. It has nothing to do with historical past, and it has nothing to do with your past. It only has to do in this moment, right now, what I'm talking about. Now, faith is right now. This is the only time. This is the only moment that matters, and it is right now. Right now, this very moment, this holy instant. The only thing that matters is that we recognize the truth that is true always, that we recognize our oneness with God and with each other, that we recognize that as the universal is, so is the individual. As he is, so are we. Where? In this world right now. That's why I always say here that it only takes an instant, it only takes a moment for change to occur. Change can occur instantly, and it doesn't occur because of the changes that are out in form, but true change occur because of the shift in our thinking, and it happens immediately. So therefore, all healing, all restoration can happen in an instant when we have a change of mind, when we have a recognition of the truth that is true always. I like what Hebrews says about what I'm talking about here. And I want to read just a few short verses out of Hebrews chapter 4. I think it says it so beautifully. I think it says it beautifully. What I'm trying to say. I know I've been rambling here, but as you can see, I am full. I am very full in this moment. But my fullness doesn't help if I can't express it in simplicity, right? It's because life is simple. So in Hebrews chapter 4, actually the last two verses in chapter 3, 18 and 19 says, and to whom swear he that they should not enter into rest, but to them that believed not. So we see that they could not enter into rest because of unbelief. So the goal here was about the conversation here is about entering into rest, or entering into the peace of God, or entering into the truth. The mere fact that it talks about entering in is an indication that we have walked away from this rest or this peace or this truth by our own volition, by our own will. And this is like not speaking to like in one individual, but this is speaking to the whole of humanity, that somewhere, somehow, humanity, we walked away collectively from the peace, from the rest, and from the truth. And when we walk away from the peace, from the rest, and from the truth, we walk in error, or we walk mistakenly. We wander in the world, fearful, afraid, lonely, and as it says, like the Course says, when we walk away from the knowing of the truth, it says that we wander in the world in constant fear, trying to find our way, or trying to bring about a substitute for the truth. And you can see the mess that it makes. Just look at the history, or just look at the present, some of the present chaos, foolishness that's in the world right now. That's a result that humanity has walked away from the truth. He walked away from the rest. He walked away from the peace. He's walked away from his very own self. And then in chapter 4, verse 1, it says, let us therefore, now that we know that it's because of our walking away or our unbelief that we can't enter into rest or into peace, or we can't kill anything and can't nothing die, as they say. So it says, let us therefore consider, lest a promise being left unto us as well, of entering into this rest, entering into this reality, enter into the peace, enter into the direct experience of who we are. So he said, let us consider, lest we also who have received the promise, being left us to enter into the rest, that any of us should seem to come short of it, that we don't enter in. Like Jesus said, let this mind be in you that was also in me. He was saying, what? Enter in to the rest. The rest is the mind of Christ. The rest is knowing the truth that is true always. The rest is understanding your equality with God and with every living thing. That's what he said. That's what he said, that the peace, that's what he said that the mind of Christ was. That he thought he was not robbing from God by saying that he had equality with God. That is the information. That is the revelation. That is the recognition that we embrace for our very own self in order for us to enter into the rest. We have to embrace the reality that the creator and creation are one, and that all living things are one. That all of us live and all of us move and all of us have our being in this one pure, whole, complete, unified source of all life. That there is no separation, there is no division, as we have built into our experience. You wonder why relationships are so difficult. You wonder why there is so much competition in the world. You wonder why there's so much war and fighting. It's because of this. It's because of we haven't embraced that on a collective basis. So it's about our unification, our oneness. So it says, unless we come short, that we seem to come short, that we seem not to enter into this rest. Verse 2, it says, for unto us was the good news also preached or shared. Unto all humanity is the good news have gone throughout all the lands. That God was in Christ, reconciling the entire world to himself. That humanity and divinity has become one. That's the good news. They say, so all of this have gone out abroad, and it has been preached. It has been proclaimed. It has been written. It has been talked about. It has been put on display in so many different ways. The oneness that we share. The truth is out here, everywhere present. It is in everything. It says, for unto us was the gospel preached as well as to them. But the word that was proclaimed did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. When we don't embrace the truth, when we don't embrace the truth for ourselves, it don't profit us. And where there is not profit, there is what? There is loss. That's why Jesus said he came for the lost. He talking about all of humanity. All of humanity was lost. He said he didn't come for the profit, he came for the lost. It says, for we which have believed, for we which have embraced the truth, for we which have accepted our equality with God, our oneness with God and each other. It says we do enter into rest. So your rest is predicated on your acceptance of the truth that is true always. Like Jesus said, I and the Father are one. That is the truth that is true always. When you seen, Jesus said, when you've seen me, you've seen the Father. That is the truth that is true always. Jesus said, let this mind be in you that was also in me. And that mind of Christ, he said, was that he has equality as a man, in the form of a man. He has equality with the Creator. He has equality with God. He didn't think he was taking anything away from God by saying that he has equality with God. That is the truth that is true always. Is that your proclamation? It is the truth that is about you. It is the truth about all of us. But do you embrace that for yourself? That is the belief, that is the faith that allows us to enter into this rest that we all desire, this peace that we all desire. For we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said, as I have sworn by no greater, that if they shall enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundation of the world. What works? God created you. God created all of life by extending itself. That is the finished work. And what God created cannot be altered and it cannot be changed. That is the finished work. That every seed produces after its own kind. That is the law of the universe. And that's what operates and determines the outcome and results of all things. This is the finished work. And because of that law, we can be intentional about how we think and how we feel and what we do. And we can be assured of the results and the outcomes that we shall experience because of that law, the law of love. You know, in the world, they call it the law of attraction because it works through attraction, because we're these magnetic beings and we do attract what we're thinking. We do attract what we're feeling. We do attract what we're saying. And we do attract based on what we're doing. It determines our results. It determines the outcomes in our life. It determines the conditions of our lives. It determines our health, our wealth, our well-being. It determines our happiness and our fulfillment. That is the law and the prophets. That is the law that profits us. And it's the law of God. And we dare not want to live without that. Because if that law wasn't in place, you think the world has experienced chaos and pain and suffering. There would be no world. There would be no you and me without the law of love, without the law of God. And so we're happy about that because we now have a pathway in which we can be assured to enter into the rest of God, to enter into the peace of God, to enter into this grand experience of the love that we are, and to experience our true self as these infinite and divine and pure beings that we are. Thank God for that grace. But we come here not remembering that. And so the work of God, or the work of our life is to but remember who we are, but to remember or to regain the knowing or the knowledge that is everywhere present. And he says, for he spake in a certain place of the seventh day on this wise, and God did rest the seventh day from all of his works. And in this place again, if they shall enter into my rest. And then verse 6 says, seeing therefore, it remaineth that, that some must enter therein, and that they to whom it was first proclaimed entered not because of unbelief. And then he goes on in verse 9 and says, there remaineth therefore a rest for the people of God. Well, who is the people of God? Everyone. See, we've taken this and we've tried to make specialness out of it. That is just as a special group, a special race, a special nation, a special religion, a special political party, a special ball team, a special piece of land. We've made specialness a substitute. We made specialness a substitute, and it has gotten us into a tremendous amount of pain and suffering. There is no specialness in love. There is no specialness in God. God is all encompassing. The law of love is all encompassing. It's not a respecter of person. It's not a respecter of form. The law of love is a formless reality. As much as we want our team, our race, our culture, our gender, our party, our group, our organization, as much as we want specialness to be the mode of operation, I'm here to tell you that it's not. It is working. It is that specialness that works against the unification of humanity. It is that specialness that works against the knowing of the truth. It's equality. It is oneness that brings about the rest, the peace, the joy, the creativity, the happiness, the fulfillment that we all seek. It is through equality. It is through oneness. God is oneness. Life is oneness. Reality is oneness. It's not multiplicity. It is oneness. And so he says, let us labor, where it says, there remaineth therefore a rest for all humanity, for all living things. Even the earth groans in travail, that it may be released from human, our human era that has got it in a headlock, creating all kinds of natural catastrophes and creating all kinds of destructive forces because of humanity's thinking. It even want to be released from our era, from our mistaken thinking. For he that has entered into this rest. He that has entered into this truth, he that has entered into this equality, he that has entered into alignment with the mind of Christ, with the universal thoughts of God. He also has ceased from his own works, as God did from his works. So we're talking about a finished work. Life is a finished product. As much as we think that we live in an open universe, we really live under a closed system. It's called the law of love, or the law of attraction, the law of seed time and harvest, the law that says every seed produces after its own kind, that every thought, every feeling, every emotion, every action has a what equal or greater reaction. That is the law that is at work. That is what is determining your experience. It has always have. And when we learn this and begin to now what intentionally work with it to create the outer conditions that we so desire, life becomes so adventurous. Life becomes so predictable. We know what the end is going to be. Why? Because we know that we are giving allegiance to the overall good of humanity, to the overall good of life. Our mind have become the vehicle of constructive thinking only. We lay down the destructive thinking that has created the chaos and the confusion and the pain and the suffering. That's it, my friends. That is what we're here to learn. And then to what? Become the light that put that on display. That is our purpose. So there remaineth therefore a rest for the people of God. For he that is entered into his rest, he hath ceased from his own works, his own understanding, his own way of thinking, as God did from his. So he says, therefore, let us labor. Let us labor. So our labor of love, let us labor to demonstrate this law of love. He says, so let us labor, therefore, to enter into this rest. So our life is about what? Entering into the rest and the peace and the truth through this self-discovery, through recognizing that everything is present. Everything, all the power and all the knowledge is right now and right here present for all of us because it's a finished work. So it's not so much of a discovery, but of a rediscovery. It's a remembrance that we may come to know God. Because when we come to know God, we come to know ourselves. Because ourself is the same self that God is. We are not different. We're not separate. We're one with. It's not an either or, but it's a one with. This is good news to me. This lets me know that I don't have to be carried away by all of the foolishness and the insanity that continue to run its course, that continue to break itself up against this law that is in operation. That I can no longer allow my mind to just wander all over the place. But I become the master of my mind. I become the disciple of my mind. That I discipline the mind. Because the mind is the activity that determines our outcome. And so in lesson 363, and I'm going to start reading from 485, where I stopped yesterday. And it says, it is our function to remember. See, there it is right there. If you never knew what your function is to remember. Jesus says, do this in remembrance of me. He was not talking about him personally. He's talking about for us to remember the reality of the oneness that we share. Do this in remembrance of it says, it is our function to remember this reality on earth. As it is given unto us, as it is given unto us to be his own completion in reality. We are that finished work. We are that completion in reality. What God created remains as he created it, or what was created in truth or in love remains as it's been created. We are that reality. You are that reality. You are what God is. God is what you are. It says, as it is given us to be his own completion in reality. So let us not forget, our goal is shared. We have one shared goal, one shared interest. All humanity, we have a shared interest. To enter into the rest, to enter into the peace, to enter into the truth. For it is that remembrance which contains the memory of God. It is through the memory, it is through remembrance that we contain the memory of God. When we remember God, we will remember ourselves. That is what he's saying. This is how beautiful you are. This is how wonderful you are. This is how eternal and infinite you are in all humanity. And point the way to him and to the heaven of his peace, that we will enter into the rest, enter into the peace. And shall we not forget our brother? Shall we forget our brother? Shall we not forgive? Oh no. Shall we not forgive our brother? Right? Shall we not forgive our brother? Who can offer this to us? This way. He is the way. All humanity is the way. Your brother is the way. Where are we holding grievances? Where are we separating and isolating ourselves from our brother because we are in offense? It says, our brother is the way, and our brother is the truth, and our brother is the life that shows the way to us. It is a demonstration of our unity, of our oneness. It says, in him resides salvation, offered us through our forgiveness, given unto us. We cannot get away from the theme of forgiveness. Why? Because it's God's plan for salvation. It's through forgiveness. So we cannot hold not one grievance, one prejudice, one inequality thought. Because the whole one, you're holding them all, and you wonder why you haven't entered into the rest, why I haven't entered into the peace, why I haven't entered into the truth, why I haven't entered into this direct experience. Because we're still holding on to grievances. Let it go. You cannot get away from forgiveness. It is the plan of salvation. And so he says, In him resides salvation. In your brother, in every other human being resides your salvation. And it says, it is offered to you through our forgiveness given unto him. That's your freedom. It's through your forgiveness given unto everyone. 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 We will not end this year without the gift our Father promised to his creation. In other words, you've gotten to the point where you say, what, there must be a better way. And that better way has been revealed to you, which is forgiveness. That better way has been revealed to you, which is the truth. And it says, we will not allow this year to end without this gift that our Father has promised us, which is to enter into the rest. And so we are forgiven now. We are forgiven now. We forgive now. And we are saved from all the wrath that we thought belonged to God. Because when you're not walking in forgiveness, it is the same way you see God. The way you see your brother is the way you see God, because God is your brother. And so when you're holding unforgiveness towards your brother, you're holding unforgiveness towards God. And anyone that you hold unforgiveness towards, you see them from a place of wrath. You see them as an enemy. And here it says, and we are saved from all the wrath we thought belonged to God, and found it was a dream of separation, like the Course says. It wasn't real. The experience that we've been having outside of the rest and the peace and the truth of God, it is but a dream. It is not real. And it says, we are restored to our sanity, because in the dream of separation, humanity becomes insanity. You know what I mean. When we're not restored, when we're not walking in forgiveness, when we're not walking in the law of love, our life can become very insane. Our relationships become very strained. And what we attract in our life is what we don't want. The world, if you look in the world, it's continued to attract war and fighting and killing and death and starvation and poverty and sickness and anguish and anger. It's continued to do it because it's still in the dream of separation. It still sees humanity as separate. It doesn't understand the oneness that we share. That's why your light is so vital. That's why your life is so vital. So that others can wake up from the dream and enter into the rest. And so we are restored to sanity, in which we understand that anger is insane. That's why Jesus said, what? Don't let the sun go down on your anger, because it is insane. And it will cause insanity in your experience. It will cause you to attract things that you don't want. So he says, anger is insane. He says, attack is mad. And just look at what's happening on the big stage. When nations are what? Attacking nations. It's not the solution. It's not gonna get them to the answer. More guns, more bullets, more destruction, destroying cities, destroying even the very thing that they built. It's insane. So anger is insane. Attack is mad. And vengeance, merely foolish fantasy, to be vengeful, to hold revenge. It said it is foolish fantasy. It doesn't answer the bell. It doesn't enter you into the rest. It will not get you what you desire. It says we have been saved from this stupidity because we've learned that we were mistaken. That's what recognition is. You recognize you was a mistake. You was in error. You wasn't in sin. Sin doesn't exist. Sin is a statement of permanence. There's nothing permanent in form. Mistake is a recognition that we were all in error. And so we're saved, like it says here. It says we are saved from the wrath because we've learned that we were mistaken. Nothing more than that. As simple as that. Humanity was in error. And so as you or I or anyone wake up or recognize the error and wake up to the truth, we're saved from the wrath. We no longer work against the law of love. We no longer kick against the prick. But we become the reflection of the law. We become the reflection of love. We become the reflection of oneness. We become the reflection of forgiveness. We become the reflection of life, and life more abundant. We become the light of the world. Just like it says, and is a father angry at his son because he failed to understand the truth? No. As a natural man or natural woman, are you angry at your child because they failed to understand the truth? No. And I'm going to stop right there. I can go on and on and on. But I'm going to read lesson 363, which they're all the same. 361 through 365, they're all the same. They're very, it's all about these final lessons. and so what I've said up until now is these part of the final lesson. And so it reads, this holy instant would I give. Would I give to the truth? This holy instant right now, will I give to the truth, to my reality? Be you in charge, for I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. It gives me rest. And if I need a word to help me, you will give it to me. If I need a thought, that will you also give. And if I need but stillness and if I need but stillness and a tranquil and open mind, these are the gifts I will receive of you. You are in charge of my every request. This you he's talking about is the truth. The you he's talking about is the light. He's talking about the love. He's talking about the law of love. And this law of love, this universal reality of the love that we share will hear and answer me, because it speaks for love only. It speaks for God, my Father, and all creation. So the voice that speaks for God is the voice that is within inside of all of us. It is your very own voice. It's your very own self. It is the oneness that you are, the oneness that you share with the one source of all life. There you have it. Lesson 363. And there's only 2 left. And I'm slow walking this thing because I really didn't want to get to the end. But then it tells me that the end is just the beginning. And we'll talk about that on our next session. Until then, enter into that rest. Enter into that place of peace. Enter into that truth. Enter into your reality. By letting go. By letting go of all that this world, this ego idea has taught us. That's how you enter into the rest, because it's a finished work. Of all we made, God created everything. When he created everything, it was done. It was complete. It was a finished work. And we just enter into it. But of course, we went on a detour to make something else. And we've been finding our way back home. We've been finding our way back to the heart of God from that moment. And the good news is everyone will find a way back. It's guaranteed. So don't talk against that. You're only kicking against a prick. Everyone will find their way home. Don't make up some other story, some other way. Everyone will find their way home. It is a promise of God. Jesus said, if there's just one, I'll leave the 99 and get the one. Why? Because wholeness is not whole if there's one missing. Love has forgotten no one, and it certainly hasn't forgot you. So let us not forget others. Have a great day. Bye-bye.